I'm gonna show to you, my fellow chessers, the chess game between MVL versus Wesley So in SuperBet Chess Classic. All right, Romania 2025, round number two, my fellow chessers. So let's begin on e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop to b5 or bishop b5. Rui Lopez opening, my fellow chessers. A6. This is Rui Lopez opening Morphy defense. Bishop A4. Knight F6. Castles kingside. Knight takes E4. Alright. So this is Rui Lopez opening Morphy defense. Open variation. I follow chessers. D4. Bishop E7. Rook E1. B5. Rook takes E4. D5. Rook, knight takes e5. Brilliant move. Knight takes e5. Rook takes e5. B takes a4. Queen e2. f6 attacking the rook on e5 squares, my fellow chessers. Rook e3. c5. Good move, my fellow chessers. D takes c4. c5. King f7, knight c3, attacking the pawn on a4, the same attacking the pawn on d5. Bishop c5, rook d3, attacking the pawn on d5, my fellow chessers. Queen e7, attacking the queen on e7 squares, e2 squares. So bishop e3, so attacking the bishop on c5, my fellow chessers. d4, good move of Wesley So. As you can see, fork, my fellow chessers, attacking the bishop on e3 at the same time, attacking the knight on c3, my fellow chessers. Bishop takes d4, queen takes e2, knight takes e2, then rook e8, my fellow chessers. Knight c3, bishop takes a4, d4, d4, rook takes d4, a3, good move of Wesley So. B takes a3, bishop f5, my fellow chessers, attacking the pawn on c2, my fellow chessers. Knight g4. What's the idea of knight g4? Preparing for knight c7 to attack the rook on a8 at the same time the rook on e8. A fork, my fellow chessers. So let's continue the game. Bishop takes c2. Wow. Knight c7, attacking the rook on a8 at the same time attacking the rook on e8 squares, or rook a d8. Rook takes d8. Rook takes d8. Knight a6, or knight takes a6. Rook a8, attacking the knight on a6, my fellow chessers. Knight b4, attacking the bishop on c2. Bishop f5. a4. Rook takes a4. a3, defending the knight on b4, my fellow chessers. All right. h5, my fellow chessers. Wow. All right. f3, g5, king f2, h4, king e3, rook a5, king d4, bishop d7, knight d3, bishop c6, h3, king e7, rook c1, attacking the bishop on c6, my fellow chessers. King d6, knight b4, knight b2, rook d5. Why? Why Wesley So didn't take this? If you take this, you're gonna try to fork the king and at the same time the rook on a3, my fellow chessers. That's why Wesley So rook d5. Move rook d5. King e3, rook e5, king f2, rook b5, attacking the knight on b2. Knight c4, king e7, rook e1, king d7, knight e3, f5, knight c4, bishop g5, good move of Wesley So. a4, rook b4, knight e3, attacking the bishop on d5, the same time attacking the pawn on f5. Bishop e6, rook a1, rook b2, king g1, rook e2, attacking the knight on e3. Rook a3, king c6, a5, king b7. Mistake of Wesley So. The best continuation on this position is f4 or king c7. That's the best continuation on this position based on computer engine. King b7. Oh, why? a6. King a7. Rook c3. Ooh, king b6. Why? Why Wisliso didn't take the pawn on a6? If you take example 6, we have rook c6, as you can see for my fellow cut chessers. Alright, that's why Wisliso didn't take the pawn on a6, my fellow cut chessers. So let's continue the game. King b6, good move. Knight e2, knight c2, rook g4, knight b4. Preferring for rook c6, my fellow chessers. So bishop d7, rook a6, king a7, rook e3, rook d1, king h2, g4. Mistake of Wesley So. The best continuation on this position is king b6 or bishop a4. Okay, so let's continue the game. G4 mistake. H takes g4. F takes g4. F takes g4. Bishop takes g4. Rook e4. As you can see the evaluation bar here, the white is winning. A little bit winning, my fellow chessers. So let's continue the game. Bishop c8, attacking the pawn on a6, my fellow chessers, as you can see. Rook to h4 or rook takes h4, my fellow chessers. Rook c8, rook f4, king b6, rook f6, king b5. Mistake of Wesley So. The best continuation on this position is king a7. Alright, so let's continue the game. The real game is rook f6, king b5, rooks f8, attacking the bishop. As you can see, my fellow chessers, alright. King b6, rook f4, mistake. The best continuation on this position is rook g8. Rook g8. Alright, rook g8 or rook f6 again. That's the best continuation. So let's continue the game on rook f4, mistake, rook c5, g5, g4, the mistake of MVL. The best continuation in this position is rook f8 or rook f6 or king g3, my fellow chessers. So let's continue the game. G4, rook g4. My camera, wait, my fellow chessers. As you can see, my camera was hung. Wait, my fellow chessers. I hope you can understand. So let's continue the game. King g3, rook g8, king, rook e4, b5, and then king h4, and then king b5 and king h4, and king rook to h8, king to g5, rook g8. The best continuation in this position is king b6. All right. So let's continue the game on rook b8. That's the good move, my fellow chessers. King c f6 takes, and king f7, good move. Okay, takes. Then king rook. All right. So after rook g7, Wesley So resigns the game. Why? Example: if you continue the game, rook e1. The white is winning, my fellow chessers, as you can see on the evaluation bar, my fellow chessers. So, white win on this game, my fellow chessers. To God be all the glory. Praise Lord Jesus Christ.